Hey everybody, it's Pete. Welcome to a new episode of Stocks for Breakfast. I'm so happy to be sharing this with you today. Today we're going to talk about something interesting, and I'm going to start out with selling you on the idea about what I'm about to discuss. And it's the fact that stock trading is a lot easier than most people make it out to be. Most people start out with just wanting to make money. Most people just start out with dreaming about quitting their job and that kind of stuff. And those are actually kind of the wrong goals. And because we start out with the wrong goals, we start trading, trying to make what might be a little bit unrealistic goals happen. And then you kind of go off on these 100 different tangents where you're constantly looking for an easier way to do things when you could have started out with the easy way in the first place. Because what happens is when you set these goals that you're not really quite sure how to achieve yet, when you don't achieve them, then you go looking for a new way. Then you go looking for a new way. Then you go looking for a new way. And before you know it, you've tried every single thing that your charting package has to offer. You try every single thing that's inside of your broker account. And it really comes down to you just needed to really start out the right way. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you a little tiny snippet from the Order Flow Masterclass, which is a 5-module training that I have, which you actually get for free when you join up for the 30-day boot camp. So if you want to learn more about what we're doing here, and especially if you want deeper knowledge like I'm about to show you, just click the link below and learn more about the boot camp. It's a really tiny investment for what you get. The course, the training modules itself, which is a home study program, is 24 hours worth of education. It is everything I've ever learned over the last 20 years. But today I'm going to give you the one of the core elements in the program, because when you start correctly, when you assess where you're starting, when you set good goals that are ambitious but realistic for where you are now, trading becomes a lot easier to see success. So when I work with new students, probably one of the biggest things is we have a little bit of a feedback, kind of like a feedback loop where they ask questions, and then I can get a feel for where they are just by the questions they ask, and whether it's an advanced question, whether it's a question that's so out there that I know that they're not focusing on the right thing, or whether they come back and ask a question based on something that we traded in real time together. I'm doing this long enough to really know what stage of experience somebody's at. So then I can go back and say, well, based on where you are now, here's the next thing that will get you where you want to be this week. And that's really what we want. We want massive weekly progress. So by the end of 30 days, and hopefully if we get longer than that, each week builds on itself, and before you know it, you know exactly what you're looking at and exactly what you're doing. So we're going to get into this now. It's a short presentation, but it's going to be a good one, and one that'll really open your eyes. By the way, if you find these videos helpful, please do me a favor, click down and subscribe. That would mean everything to me. And if you have any feedback or comments, absolutely leave it below the video, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, so we're going to head on over to the presentation. And this is from one of the modules called Street Smarts. And the Street Smarts module is really what I said, is that really learning how to start in a way that matches what you're bringing to the market, and as well as recognizing what kind of market conditions are happening right now. That's probably one of the biggest revelations that we see in the boot camp, is people really recognizing that every market is not the same. And you need to learn to not change your strategy, but to use your strategy in the context of, are we going straight up? Are we going straight down? Are we going sideways? Which stock should I trade? Should it be a swing trade? Should it be a day trade? Those are the kind of things that you gain with experience, so that you can recognize it like that, reduce and then avoid those unforced trades that you shouldn't be in the first place, getting to the point where you really, really recognize the better opportunities and only allocate your capital to that. So Street Smarts is really the big part of what we're about to discuss. So defining what's included in Street Smarts. And again, when you see me use the word Street Smarts, it really means that you have experience. It really means that you're using your experience. So what I'm doing through the boot camp, and hopefully through these videos, is I am walking you through my experience, so you can really cut down on that learning curve and understand how to make money. And there's a part before learning how to make money, believe it or not, that you need to really learn. And we're going to get to that right now because it's very important. All right, so as I said, having experience is what Street Smarts is. So when you come into the market, you have to ask yourself, what do you already know about trading? What do you already know about pulling money out of the market? What do you already know and have proven to yourself that you can do in the market. I will, beyond a shadow of a doubt, tell you that one of the biggest mistakes that all new people into the boot camp make is they trade too big, too fast. There is zero reason to use all of the allocation of capital. You have zero reason to use massive leverage if you can't prove at least over a month, 2 months, 3 months that you can be profitable. There's no reason to take extra risk, which is what you're doing with extra leverage, if you aren't understanding what conditions you should be using that extra leverage. So that kind of gets us to the second bullet point here, is really understanding of what to do and what not to do. Now, I'm going to make a bold statement, which is 100% true, because I've gone through this thousands of times already, especially maybe even more than thousands of times at this point. It's not really that difficult to learn what to do. Absolutely, everybody who's in the boot camp, 100% of the people in the boot camp say, this is amazing, it's simple, I never knew it could be this easy. But this last part is the challenge that I have to work through everybody with, not everybody, most people with, is learning what not to do and then actually not doing it. We call this unforced errors. And yesterday, especially yesterday's market, the market was really obvious, sectors were obvious, and individual stocks were just trending, and it was an amazing day to make money. And we pressed it. We recognized that what not to do was to get out of the trades. We should have held them longer, and we did as a group. That's the point of trading as a community. Last week, there were a few days, especially in the middle of the week, that was very tough. And I was walking everybody through preserve precious capital, preserve your capital, because there's opportunities that were sparse. It wasn't a great opportunity. So I was walking everybody through. Don't trade, excuse me, I apologize. Don't trade aggressively because the situation has lower probability for follow through. So what not to do in that situation was not to use leverage, not expect follow through, and be super picky about how you took profits. So again, this is all a part of experience. This part is a tough one for a lot of people, is being honest about where you're starting, being honest about, I'm coming to the market with zero experience. I'm coming to the market with a burning desire to succeed, which is awesome. I'm coming to the market with very limited capital. I'm coming to the market with not enough education in how to read charts and become a tape reader. You need to be honest about where you're starting, because if you try and get behind the wheel of a super fast car in traffic that you've never driven before, it's going to be tough. So you also need to be honest about which stocks you're trading, which kind of markets are you trading? Are you trading stocks, futures, forex, crypto, and which one of those gives you the best chance to succeed based on the resources that you're bringing to the market? And then based on all of that, now you have to set goals based on what you bring to the market. And probably the two biggest ones about resources is how much money are you bringing to the market and how much experience are you bringing to manage that money. And when you have an honest answer on those two things, then you could set realistic but ambitious goals to achieve and constantly get better every week, so you get your own experience so that you can learn to avoid what doesn't work and then really capitalize and use what does work in a big way. Next, we need to define your goals and objectives. And the way I define these is a little bit different. Objective is what you want to accomplish this week, and then goals are a little bit longer. So we always have short-term goals and long-term goals. I call them 5-foot goals and 5-mile goals. Once you start to put this together, you're like, okay, I have no experience, or yeah, I can read charts really, really good, but I just don't understand how to make money. That's where we work together to set those goals. And we have weekly calls every Monday for you to post your biggest challenges, and I go over them in detail. Last night's call was 90 minutes. It was a really intense call. Then we learned to think strategically. And what strategically means is, what are the odds of a particular stock moving in one direction, and what are the odds that you can lower your risk within that trade? It's not where is the super secret entry signal. The tactics versus strategy are completely different. And the biggest way to define that is strategy is you're coming up with a plan that will set you in motion where you can apply the tactics, so where you can apply your entry signals, where you can apply your exit signals. But the strategy first is, how do you allocate your money and how do you find the biggest ideas? And that's really probably the number one thing that we cover in the boot camp. The next is self-analysis. Do you have a lot of discipline? Do you trade emotionally? Are you calm as a cucumber? Can you, at the end of the day, analyze your trades in a trading journal, which you should, Can you look at your trading journal and say, I really need to stop trading before 10 o'clock in the morning. I really need to stop trading technology stocks because I'm not making money. I really need to start trading more bank stocks, whatever. I'm just making it up because those are the ones I'm making all of my money in. That's really where you start to become super experienced, because now you're letting your actual results tell you what to do, which is the fastest path to get to where you want to be, because you're getting a feedback loop from the market. And that's really where easy success comes from. And obviously, if we're working together, I can help you speed that up even further because of your questions and your results. Potential markets to trade. Are you going to trade stocks because you like reading about the markets? Are you going to trade Forex because you might not have enough leverage or not buying power? The same thing with options. Do you like to trade options where you want to hold stuff for a month and you think you can time when something happens within a certain window? Are you trading crypto? Do you want to get involved in the crypto trade? Only those answers can come from what we started out with, is what are your resources and what are your goals? Choosing a trading concept is interesting too. Are you a scalper? Do you trade momentum? Are you looking to hold positions? Are you looking to be a swing trader? Are you trading news? Are you an investor? All of those are difficult to trade at once. I will tell you flat out, if you think about how major corporations run their businesses, they don't try to be everything. Starbucks makes coffee. That's all they do. When you start trading, you should focus on one thing, and only then, after you start to make money, can you add other things into your business. Trading is a business. You're managing money for a business, right? So what are the biggest challenges that people have? Is number one is being honest about your resources. Most people want to start down the 5th mile instead of starting right where they are right now, and they lie to themselves. And especially, like I said, I appreciate being ambitious. I appreciate having a burning desire, but you need to recognize if you're starting with zero experience, if you're starting with $3,000, you really need to be super dialed in on what it means to be successful. And you need to set honest but realistic goals about where you are and the easiest chance of you accomplishing those goals. So week 1, week 2, week 3, you each one of those weeks pile on top of each other with experience. By the time 30 days is over, by the time 60 days is over, you're setting the right goals that are taking you to the next step. And really, if I could give you some trading wisdom right now, the number one goal you need to first learn how to do is learn how to not lose money, which means you need to recognize what a super low probability trading idea is, and then stay away from that, which gives you the best chance to start seeing your account growing. And then as your account grows, you can start to think a little bit more aggressively in your goals. But it really comes down to starting out honestly. All right, so what are some of the requirements for success? Really understanding that your capital that you're putting in the market is risk capital. I will tell you this flat out. Yeah, you can keep refunding your account while you're learning, but are you tired of putting money into your account? Wouldn't you rather be taking withdrawals? That's really the point of trading. So when you understand that you really need to preserve that precious capital and that it's really risk capital, you're going to take care of it. You're going to treat it like it's a little baby and not put it in harm's way, which again goes back to understanding that you shouldn't be taking risks that you don't understand, which means that you need to pick the right markets. Next, you need to operate your trading account as a serious business. And part of our coaching call last night, I started walking through a process of analyzing which stocks to trade and which ones have the highest probability of making money. And somebody actually commented that they didn't realize how much work went into finding good ideas. And it's not a lot of work, but you have to do it. But I think it was interesting that that person wasn't really doing anything other than deciding they wanted to be a buyer of stock tomorrow. So you treat it like a serious business when you spend your spare time learning how to improve. You strive for profits, but manage risk first. This is really, really important. And we're going to talk about having a bias and emotional about the trade. So everything that we do in trading, of course, we're trading because we have an expectation of making money. But the number one thing that we should be doing first, as I said multiple times already, is managing the downside so you're around long enough to have enough experience to learn how to make money. So you can't get emotional about wins, you can't get emotional about losses, and you certainly can't trade with an opinion. And I want to discuss this briefly on what it means to have an opinion versus what it means to have a bias. Having an opinion means you only see it can go in one direction. A bias means it's probably going in that direction, but I'm going to keep an open mind if it doesn't. Very big difference between the two. And the reason that I'm making that distinction is when you have an opinion, it's very hard to change that opinion. And that's how you end up getting stuck in big losing trades because you're saying, I'm right, the market's wrong, and it's eventually going to come back. And that's a very, very expensive way to trade. Taking the time to develop and commit to a clear strategy. If we work together, I will give you my strategy. That you don't really need to do that. I will walk you through. There's the entire program, and then I show you how to implement it in real time every single day the market's open. Only trade when you have an edge. This goes back to something that I brought up before. Only when you understand fully what to avoid can you instantly become profitable, because now you're not making back that money that you threw away. And what's even funnier in a good way is that when you understand you should only take the trades that have the edge, now you're allowing the edge to do the work, and trading becomes a lot less stressful, which is a really big side benefit. And the last part that I want to get to here is something that is really exciting and something that's kind of new for many traders, is that when we place trades, we're not trading to be right. We're trading to get feedback from the market. So place a trade, get feedback. Place a trade, get feedback. And that feedback is the trade making money or is it not making money? And really it comes down to when you get feedback from the market and the market tells you, yep, here we go, then you add a little more. When you place a trade and get feedback from the market and it's not working out, you're like, okay, thank you for the information, and you go to the next trade. Trading really can be that simple when you have an edge. You need an edge and maybe somebody like myself to walk you through these various steps. And when you do, it becomes, as I said at the beginning of the video, it's a lot easier than most of us make it out to be, especially in the beginning. And I'd like to help you with that. So hopefully this video and the strategic ideas behind gaining experience helped you. If you'd like to learn a little bit more, definitely click down and let's trade live together in the boot camp. I'd love to have you in the community. We have a great, great group of people. And please especially click down and subscribe to the channel so you get updates. Have a great day, everybody.